The top three in points all have 2 wins each. A mere 11 points separate them, and each have had periods of dominance. But Yuka and Polly proved to be much stronger on high-speed circuits. Spa should fit that bill, so will it be one of them to back on top? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Spa-Francorchamps has gone through many forms over the years, but one thread throughout has always been its popularity with fans and drivers. Let's take a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchiment have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Rétillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit, though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast, and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round. This is definitely a track that tops many a best racing circuit list, Joey. I think this is going to see some good action.
If it's not on your bucket list already, you definitely need to add it. Circuit des Spa-Francorchamps out here in Belgium. One of the best circuits in the entire world. We are running the classic layout here today. So start-finish line is on the downhill after La Source. Have to keep an eye out for that and how they do that standing start. But Eau Rouge, Rétillon up the hill through the Kemmel Straight on the huge top-end speed at the top of the circuit, and then it is all downhill from Turn 5, Lake Holmes, all the way through Rivage, Pouhon, Fagnes, and once you reach the bottom of the circuit down there at about turn 14 or 15, you start the climb back up the hill through one of the fastest corners, Blanchiment, into the final chicane area, a great passing opportunity. And remember what I said, start-finish line after La Source, so you do get that final hairpin as your final corner.
Well, for the championship situation, though, I already mentioned it, 11 points between those top 3, and then from there on down, it's a steep drop to Dylan Freckleton, as Korteniemi, Tolonen, and Partanen have been taking all the wins so far this season. But with them each tied on 2, we kind of watch and wait to see who is going to wind up taking number 7 here today and maybe take a little bit of a step ahead. We also have an F2 driver standings here, and this is all drivers who are a little bit lower in I rating.
Currently, it's Bjorn Ackerman that is leading the way in that F2 driver standings. Didn't see him here in the top split, but he will be collecting those points in the other split. Sam Ryman is currently giving chase. Very, very close battle really there for the second place. Only a handful of points separating Sam, Peter Konechny, and also Shady Ahmad. Little bit of a gap back there to Andrew Thomas in the 5th place position. And then things definitely tighten up between Miguel, Pablo, Gregory, Cam, Keith. They all seem to be fighting for 6th. Only 11 points separating those 4 drivers.
Now, with this being a longer track, it's only 21 laps today that they're going to be running. It's an open setup series. I'm very curious to hear who's going to do what, considering this is such a high-speed track, but with so many fast corners. They don't have a spare car if you wind up damaging it, and definitely a likely possibility if you go off one of those fast corners. Even with the paved runoff, it's hard to get them slowed down. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a DQ at 25. This track is also notorious for those off-track incidents, racking up quickly and finding yourself maybe spending an extra bit of time in the pit stop. So we are now checking out Cam Porter as he takes off on his first timed lap. Let's ride on board for a bit.
It's that top of the circuit here. Dive down the hill into a tricky brake zone. I love the 3 pedals, the H pattern shifter that Cam uses, the true vintage feel.
Absolutely, and a little loose there on entry in the speaker's corner, but he manages to gather it back up. But now they approach Puhan as we jump over to Pauli Partanen. Still no driver having set a time yet. We expect most should be able to get both laps in, but you can't wait around too long since it does take a minute to get around this circuit. Partanen, is he going to take the opening salvo here, as it looks like he will be among the first to finish the lap? But remember, it's not here. That is not where the timing line is, as it is traditionally here at Spa. They go all the way around through La Source to where they used to start these races back in the old days, which ironically, this car did not race here. They had moved over to Zolder by this time in F1.
Now, I want to get the cauldron out here, Joe, because it is coming up on Halloween time. Remember what happened last week between Topi Kortiniemi and Pauli Partanen? I wonder if we could stir those two things together. Who's going to come out here kind of flexing their muscle, especially after last week's incident?
Getting that toil and trouble going, I see. Yeah, that is a good point. If they wind up close to each other, it could make for some wild entertainment for us, but hopefully we won't get too hard of feelings, because it certainly seemed like they were a little bit feeling hard done by on that one, Pauli. But watching the number 1 this time, Topi Kortiniemi, his first lap, good enough for third. And what do you know? Top 3 in points, top 3 positions on the first lap.
And what's crazy to me, the teammates, Jukka Tolvanen, Pauli Partanen, we always talk about how identical they are on pace. Well, Joe, check out the top of the board. They are literally identical on pace.
Now, iRacing does track it beyond the thousandth of a second from what we've been told by the programmers, but it just doesn't show it, so we won't know how close it is. And honestly, by that point, you're probably dealing with millimeters or fraction of a millimeter and how far apart they are. Regardless, it has said that Tolvanen was quicker on the first time around. Miguel Moreland on his first lap is good enough for 13th with a 2:04.6 currently. He'll need a little bit more pace than that to jump up the order. We're waiting on Freckleton, West, Chinmay, and Schaefer to set times, as it looks like their first laps didn't count.
Here comes Pauli Partanen through the final chicane. Still has to go around La Source before we trigger that start-finish line. And he's actually tracking about 3/10 to the good right here. So I expect this lap to be a flyer. I expect him to go straight to the P1 position.
We won't have to wait long, because Tolanen's just coming up to La Source now, as Partanen will cross the line, and it's a 2:02.088. That will put him 3/10 ahead of Tolvanen. So we watch Topi Kortiniemi as well, who is going to be the third of that trio to cross the line. Tolvanen gets a 2:02.243. That's not going to take pole away. Topi, 2:01.908. That is the quickest of anybody, the first to break under 2:02.
What a lap from that number 1 car, as we say JDS come through the final corner here. He's actually tracking a little bit to the good as well. Let's see if he's able to jump up into further into the top 5. No, 2:02.7 is what he's going to settle with.
Gernot Frische going to finish up his lap 2 here as we watch from on board. Last time out, he managed to move himself up onto the podium with the troubles that we saw some of the front runners have amongst each other. But he's only sitting in 7th currently, and he's about 1.2 seconds off the pole time. Let's hope he can find some improvement here if he wants another chance to spray the champagne out through the last hairpin. He's about 0.3 improvement, which will get him within a second, but that still won't put him on pole. It's a 2:02.9, and he actually, I think, will stay in 7th with that.
I think that's a good lap, though, from Gernot, because I see a few different kind of categories as qualifying is winding down, and he's in that 2:02 bracket. He's kind of on the tail end of that front draft pack.
Well, 10 seconds left. I don't see anybody else who can set a time, so our grid has been set. Topi Kortiniemi will start on the pole. He's won the last 2 races, but in all the times we went to faster tracks of the first 4 rounds, he wasn't the quickest out on track in the race itself. Pauli Partanen will start from 2nd, and Jukka Tolinen will start 3rd. Kimmo Viekainen, P4 for him today, will be followed by Juho Raina in 5th. JDS good enough for P6. Inside of row 4, it's Gernot Friese in the 7th, and Timothy Reed will be P8 after he comes off of a win in the Camel Series yesterday at Road America. Shady Ahmad will start 9th, and Luca Bracali will round out your top 10.
In 11th place, we have the number 14 car of James Barry. Next to him will be Paul Williams. Then we have John Olsen in the 13th spot. Miguel Moreland in 14th. Dylan Freckleton with the top 15 qualifying effort. Pablo Suarez is going to be lined up next to him in 16th. On row number 9, we have Emilio Fernandez Garrido in 17th. Lined up with Barry West in 18th. And on row 10, we have Chase Schaefer and Cam Porter in 20th.
William Doyle will start from 21st. Maximiliano Laceras will start 22nd, the last to set a time. Jason Clapper, as he usually does, did not qualify, will start from 23rd. Sam Ryman from 24th, and Christo Chenmai in 25th. Poor Sam didn't even get to finish the first lap last time before he got involved in a wreck. Can he avoid that this time around? Cool day today here, still in the morning time in Belgium at 67 Fahrenheit on the track itself. So only 19 Celsius. Drivers are going to have to try and get those tires warmed up and across Eau Rouge as they start to get up speed over that iconic hill. Still waiting on a bunch of those at the front to grid up here, Joey, so just kind of biding their time.
I think without LaSource as turn 1, it kind of takes away a big-time choke point at the beginning of this race. I've got my fingers and toes crossed for a clean run up through Eau Rouge, but you know what that means down the Kemmel Straight? It's going to be a busy draft pack.
Oh, yes, it will. And that means that Lacombe will be the first place to try and pass as the lights are now up here for round 7. And the green flag is out. Down the hill, they plunge towards Eau Rouge, and it was a pretty good start for Topi. Partanen almost looked like he was going to lose out a bit, but they all get single file for pretty much the top 5 behind them, though. Drivers still trying to sort themselves out, up and over the crest and onto the Kemmel Straight.
This is that draft pack that I was talking about, and it is a finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now. Gernot Friese in 6th place, but it's all Pauli Partanen and Topi going side by side.
Oh, and getting turned around. Tolinen gets hit. Someone takes the escape road off to the side. Everybody else in the background scatters, but Jukka goes to the tail end of the field. And it looks like, I think that was Sam Ryman who took to the escape road as they go around Rivage now. Partanen's not giving up. He's still fighting with Kortiniemi, who's on the outside of No Name, and they carry on with the battle. This is just ongoing.
Yeah, and Topi's actually pulling ahead going down the hill, but he's going to have the outside. Can he carry the momentum around? He's slightly off the track, but he will. He will take that top spot back.
Never say die. My goodness, this is going to be an intense battle. And even with all that fighting, they pulled away from the pack. I'm sure that was helped by Tolinen's issues, as Olsen, I think, had a bit of an off in the background. We'll try and capture that in a little bit, but it has been a frantic start, and our 2 championship protagonists are once again becoming the front runners.
Well, and I wonder if Pauli said, you know what, the more we go side by side here, Juho, JDS, Gernot, they're all kind of catching us right now. However, he's kind of proven me wrong. He's trying to poke and nose into one of the fastest corners. It's not going to work here on the first lap.
Yeah, and the corner, the track kind of veers off to the left, so I think Topi can get away with that, but it was a bit of a late move covering that one off. So I'm sure Pauly's not going to be happy about that one. And he's probably on his toes after last week as well, Joey.
I was just going to bring that up. Remember, it was the role reversal. It was Topi behind Pauli last week, and unfortunately, it was Topi that misjudged that brake zone, ended up taking out Pauli, but Topi went on to win the race.
Kimmo Viekainen, who I believe is also involved with the wreck with Tolonen, is at the back of the field. I wonder if he's pretty damaged in that car. Yeah, I think he's trying to head into pit lane, unfortunately, as our leaders head up over Gradion once again. And you can see it's back on for the lead. Kortiniemi having to defend once again. Last time he held off Partanen, but it took many corners to get it done. He holds on up to Malmedy, trying to carry the speed round the outside, and he does it. Great bit of speed now down the hill into Ravage, and he immediately covers him off.
Oh, and Pauli was just able to put the power down on that racing line side of the track. Kortiniemi was just all bound up on the inside, couldn't put that throttle down like Pauli could. And now we're going to really see this pace from Partanen. Does he have the race pace? Who's going to stretch it out?
Was he being held up? And looks like we've got a replay from earlier on. So this is what happened to Tolonen. Viekainen going to be in the purple and white machine and just clips the side of him. May have been a little ghost contact. It was hard to see from that angle. And honestly, they're very lucky this didn't collect more cars.
Yeah, and this is a tough one because it feels like Yuka might have left the door open and Kimmo just kind of fills that spot. But at the last moment, Yuka tried to kind of take up both lanes. It's tough on lap one out there.
Yeah, I think Kimmo was maybe a little ambitious. We're going to watch from Frisch's view. Does he narrowly escape this one? There they are up ahead. Car going off to the side. Woo! Look at that. Great heads up by the former champion. Just gets on the binders, waits for the track to clear, and he's on his way.
Well, and I think the other one is Juho Raina out of that, because wasn't he right in the middle of it? And he's right behind Gernot right now. He's actually got a mirror full of Timothy Reed as they head down into La Source. This is a battle for Gernot 4th, Juho 5th, and Timothy Reed 6th.
By deduction, I'd say that JDS gained the most out of that then. He is up to 3rd into the podium and actually kind of running away from both of them. But this is behind in that battle between Raina and Reed. Reed's got a huge head of steam. He's going to jump out to the outside of the Kemmel straight, see if he can outbrake his rival as they hit the braking zone way late. These cars have so much downforce on them. Dead even into Lacombe. Ooh, banging wheels a little bit. Raina has to back out of it.
Yeah, I think Juho is just trying to hang on as much as he can. I think he's got a car that's really, really trimmed out, really good on the straight line, and was just trying to keep it tucked in here. And this is a move with Jukka Tolonen. This is a little bit earlier. This is still the replay of what happened here at that first lap incident. This is Juho's perspective, how he got through that one.
So he found himself, looks like maybe getting a little bit of damage, because I think he's slowing a straight line now, especially with how he's being passed by a number of cars. Back to Topi Kortiniemi. Partanen leads him by about 0.6 of a second. They are still ahead of Jack David Spickett by 1.2 seconds. So they haven't dropped him immediately, but they are creeping away.
I kind of want to focus on that number 10 car, Joe, because I know that Pauli and Topi, they've got tons of speed. They're within about half a second of each other, but I think the story of the first 3 laps of this race, first 4 laps, is this car right here. Jack David Spickett, he had a really good qualifying effort. He actually has the fastest lap of the race so far. This is a really, really good performance from him.
It is. If he can hold on to this, it'll be a nice little coup out of the number 10. And Gernot Frisch doesn't seem to be able to hang quite yet. Back to William Doyle, a little bit farther back. A lot of action here heading into the bus stop. That's Pablo Suarez fighting with Jason Clapper, who outguns him off the corner.
And speaking of good days, Jason Clapper already up 10 positions in that same span of this 3-4 laps that we've done. And here's a little poke down the inside behind Jason. I think that was still Cam Porter, William Doyle battling it out back here.
In front of him, Schaefer also 10 up, but he's way farther up the road right now. Nice little 5-car battle that we've got brewing. Let's see what kind of straight line speed Jason has in compared to Miguel.
I'm curious. I'm watching the top speed here, Joe. 177 here, tucked up in the draft. Doesn't quite get side by side with Miguel Moreland, but almost 180 miles an hour.
Nice bit of speed. but not going to get him the spot this time. Suarez still hanging on to the back. Almost looked like a little bit of a slide there from Moreland. Oh, making contact down into Rivage. Clapper will get away with it, but not contact with Suarez as they tangle, and that sends Jason into the barrier behind them all. It's going to be Doyle who picks up both positions.
Really unfortunate for Jason Clapper there. I felt like maybe Suarez could have left him a little bit more room, but sometimes racing is tight.
Let's take another look at this one. So off to the side. Yeah, hard to see if
that's okay over. There. Like, I understand, but that was the incident where Pablo Suarez and Clapper came in together. I feel like Jason was already on kind of his back leg out there on the dirty stuff, and I don't think that Pablo cut him any breaks here.
Looks like he had some counter steering, so he slid out, and yeah, because he was given space to the inside. Yeah, I think that one's a little bit more on Suarez, but we'll get the drivers' perspectives later, hopefully. Suarez carries on in 14th currently as we look forward to the battle for the lead.
Closed in now only a half a second, and Jack David Spickett in that Pepsi machine is within 1 second as well. I am going to keep an eye now on these two top speeds because this will tell us how much wing angle Topi is running versus Pauli, and that's going to be crucial when it comes down to that race setup, that long run pace.
And Juho Raine has just parked it. He pulled it in the pit lane, didn't even drive it down to his stall, took a tow once he entered in. So I suspect that is a sign he has no intentions of returning to the track. Yeah, and the text chat shows that he's very unhappy with how this race has unfolded for him. Let's take another perspective from Olsen now. What was he involved in here? This is lap 1. Oh, yeah, he got involved in a bit of an off here.
It's a little bit further down the racetrack, and so that curb on that outside, and look at this, more problems. It's a little bit raised, plus you're already heading down the hill. It can be trouble spot for sure.
Shady Ahmad, I think on lap 2 here, had his own little off coming through Malmedy. Did he have help? There's a car close behind. It's marginal. Not sure who that was. He got spun off, didn't hit anything, turns it around, and eventually gets going. Look at this angle from above. No, we're going to check out Cam Porter now. Not sure what he was involved in. Didn't even know he had something happen. Oh.
I think that was probably just a misjudgment from one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack, maybe expecting Cam to go a little bit deeper in the brake zone. I expect Yuka just to be caught out right here. Yep.
Yeah, you can see he knew immediately. He locked him up trying to stay out of the back of him. Thankfully, it was a bit of a gentle touch, but I'm sure that's little consolation to either of them as they both lost positions in that one. The number 3 at Pauli Partsinen still hovering at about a half second behind Topi Kortiniemi. Actually, have they swapped back? Wasn't it Pauli in front?
No, well, unless it happened a handful of laps ago. We definitely missed that, but it has stayed Topi out front in front of Pauli. So, yes, at some point we did, Joe.
So much has been happening at the start of this race. So we're seeing the pass happen on lap 4. We're on lap 6 right now. So, yes, this was 2 laps ago. Let's see where this happened here. Straight away onto the Kemmel Straight, actually. Just a good run. I think we're going to see a lot of this today here, Joey.
It's one of the longest straightaways in road racing. It has a huge brake zone at the end of it. So, yeah, I think it's the best opportunity to pass anywhere on this circuit.
So that handed it back to him for now, but Pauli is getting ever closer as we hop on board with him. This gives you a good sense of just how visceral these cars are. Such raw machines. There are no driver aids. It is just you and all the analog inputs.
Let that floor suck you down to the ground, to the racetrack. Really feel all of those curbs as you jump over them. We saw a few of those cars spinning out, and these are ground effect cars, Joe. They use the wings, you know, the front wings and the rear wings, but it really is the underside that makes the downforce. And when you upset that car on uneven curbs, it can really lose all that downforce.
And I'm sure we'll see more cars do that, considering how on edge you have to be. There is the gap we saw between Korteniemi and Partanen, as well as Spickett, and a few more still chasing him from behind. JDS is not doing too shabby. He's still only about 2.5 seconds behind.
No, but he did lose that draft. He was hanging out right there in that 1 second range, 1.2 seconds, and unfortunately it's stretched down to about 2.5 seconds now. So he has lost that fishing line in front of him, if you will. If we check back here with Pablo Suarez in 13th.
Oh, something's happened to Schaefer in front of him. There he is off track, and he's getting it going. Just as these two battling go sneaking by, he's going to lose 1 and 2, but he's going to try and outbrake them back into the turn. And it looks like he's going to at least keep one at bay, maybe. Oh, he has to use all the way into the paved runoff. Schaefer now side by side with Suarez.
This will be really interesting here. They'll go single file up through Eau Rouge, but who's got the wing angle? How are the draft games going to be played? This is 3 cars versus just 2 in a line.
Oh, but we got to go to the lead. They're side by side between Korteniemi and Partanen. And once again, it is carried on all the way through Lacombe, through Malmedy, down through Rovage, into No Name. This time, Partanen manages to get by. He has to go defensive, pushing him all the way to the inside of the track as Korteniemi tries to get his nose in. He keeps this carrying on all the way through Puhan, but there just isn't enough grip.
Ooh, and Topi almost slid up into Pauli, heading down into Puhan, but crucially, they did not make any contact. I think the biggest change that I see in today's race here, Joe, is usually Yuka and Pauli just nice and settled out front. Well, today, they are fighting between Topi and Pauli.
This is a knockdown, drag-out fight. It is just unbelievable stuff that we're seeing between this pair, and it's definitely not over. We're going to see how Schaefer had his problem that got him all, just a little bit greedy on the throttle.
Yeah, and actually, Topi's going to make a move right now into the final chicane. He pokes a nose, but stays back in line now with Pauli Partanen. Going back to that spin real fast, Joe, I mentioned the underside, the downforce these cars make. Well, they also make downforce at speed. And the really, really slow sections, these really slow corners, you're not making any downforce. It's actually pretty tricky. You kind of have to tiptoe the car around.
That's an excellent point. It's a bit of a cumbersome beast when you get those slower corners. All right, Moreland on it once again with Schaefer trying to get that position back. Breaks deep into the chicane. Somehow he makes the corner. I thought he was going way off into the runoff there.
Yeah, and this time he's able to put the power down, say goodbye to Miguel Moreland and Pablo Suarez as he maybe glances in the mirror one last time before he check into La Source, but he's pretty much gone.
Back up to our leaders. Korteniemi regained some lost ground as he had a little bit of a poor exit out of the bus stop chicane. But it looks like that slipstream just keeping him right in range, as Joey put it, the fishing line, just pulling him in.
And when these two were battling, Joe, it actually brought Jack David Spickett back in. He's only about 2 seconds behind the leaders right now. So I feel like the more these two battle, the more JDS gets reeled in. And keep an eye on that number 2 car, because Gernot is actually closing that gap to Jack David Spickett as well.
That'll be a tasty battle between those two. We've seen a lot of retirements. Attrition has unfortunately been a major factor at the start of this race. We've lost John Olsen, Kimmo Viekainen, Emilio Garrido, Jason Clapper, and Juho Reina. Looks like Jukka Tolinen might be out as well. He's been taking repairs for 7 minutes, so I doubt he'll be able to get back out and do much on the track, considering we're already 8 laps into this event. So we jump a little farther back in the field to Pablo Suarez. He's been Mr. Excitement today.
Yeah, still chasing Miguel Moreland. Right in front of him, you see Chase Schaefer. He was the one, that other black car that made the pass on the lap prior. So now it's Pablo Suarez trying to line up this white and orange car. Headed up this hill. This is going to be a good opportunity as long as you stay in the slipstream here. Don't poke the nose out into Blanchimont. Wait for that final chicane. And if you are in a passing opportunity, go ahead, make that move.
I believe last broadcast we were musing on the simplicity of this wheel. Maybe we'll have to interrupt that thought for a brief moment, because Suarez deep on the brakes and in front of them. Another mistake in the bus stop for Schaefer. This time he backs it. He is literally driving this backwards. He's going to whip it around. Oh, he tries to. and unfortunately fails, and now he's going to tow it. I think maybe he's done for the day. That was one of the stranger attempts at recovering I think I've ever seen.
Hey, Joe, it's called a J-turn. It's quite common. You see him just lose it once again in a slow area of the racetrack. He's going to put it in reverse. It's going to get some momentum, try to whip it around, and unfortunately the tires are just too sticky right now, so he didn't get that complete spin from the front end. It's fun. I'm serious. Yeah. It's one of the most basic car control maneuvers you can do, even in a parking lot with your front-wheel drive car. It is a blast.
Yeah, he unfortunately has failed that driver's test today at least, but I'm sure he'll try again a little bit later. That is our latest retirement from this event. So I was talking about the wheel on this car. We noticed the switch or button that is on that wheel. Apparently, Michael DeTurk was telling us that that is, I believe that is to turn the pit speed limiter on and off, from what we've been told.
Pit lane speed limiter. Okay, that would make sense, because back then it would just be like a hard mechanical rev cut. So it just, basically wire it in, and yeah, you either have it on or off.
So still this battle on between Partanen and Kortiniemi up through the bus stop, starting lap 10 here shortly. They are pulling back away from Spicket in the background. It's up to 3 seconds now, separating them from third on the field. Down into Lasource. Kortiniemi's awful close. If he can stay this close behind, up and over the hill, I think he's got a good shot.
And it's kind of had that accordion effect a little bit, where they've kind of stretched out, condensed back in, and here we go. This is a good opportunity for Topi. He's right in the tire tracks. Does he decide to lift, or decide to make a move? No, he's going to go driver's right. Actually, Pauli puts it right in the middle of the racetrack, kind of a defensive posture, but Kortiniemi, braking duel. It's going to be Topi's lead again.
Still side by side. He's got his wheel in there, but he might get fed out. No, he likes that outside of Malmedy. He pulled this move last time, and he managed to get ahead of him. Can he chop him off down at Rivage? He tries to. He gives him just enough space, and now it looks like Pauli is ahead. Brave stuff between the pair of them. I'm starting to notice, I think Pauli's kind of learning here. It looks like he's getting a little bit more clever than Topi.
I didn't expect to have to put my foot in my mouth so soon, but thank you, Pauli Partanen, for proving me wrong there. And yeah, no, I think that that's the second time that he's had that outside move, and he's just able to put the power down, whether it's the gearing or whatever it is. You're right, he has found that.
Chinmay versus Moreland. In front of him was Shady Ahmad watching from behind. Shady on a recovery drive here. Not doing too bad there in 14th, although he's still down 5 from where he started this race. As they exit out of Jackie Ix, he's getting awful close to the back of Christo Chinmay now. He could maybe try something later in the lap, but it's unusual to see passes here through the middle portion.
What he can get done. If he's close enough, you can kind of use that slingshot maneuver, but you see, just not quite close enough as we jump back up to the lead. Still the two Finns battling it out, one wing under another.
Riding on board with Topi in the number 1, Pauli Partanen. I wouldn't say holds the advantage this time. He has track position, but we've now seen it swap back and forth a couple times between that lead. They both want that front spot. Could it come down to the last lap to try and decide this one? Or will something happen that eventually separates the pair of them? Up the hill again. Now it's Topi's turn to get the pull on the back of Pauli Partanen. He's going to pop out to the side. Ooh, another late little defense, but the door is open enough. He's going to get through. Left-hand side, that's where Pauli likes to be. They're almost touching wheels.
Let's see if he does the same type of power down out of this corner right here. We've been watching Pauli pull it all day, but Topi is actually able to put his foot down. Now it's a braking duel going down the hill. This is unknown ground. They did this on lap 1, but still side by side.
And now it's Topi's turn to start to learn what to do in this situation. He gets a run off of Ix. He could have a chance to try and once again force the issue into Puhan. They're side by side into this fast double left-hander all the way off the course. Using the runoff there is Pauli Partanen, and that will keep him ahead.
Yeah, now Topi's really in this dirty air, all the way tucked up underneath that rear wing. He's just got to try to stay close, but check out who's lurking in the distance there with them battling side by side. It definitely has brought in Jack David Spickett, Gernot Frische not too far behind with 11 laps left. These two front runners, they've got to be careful.
They keep messing around. This could get very tasty in a moment as we head towards Blanchimont. This is a spot where Topi's been catching, but I wonder if the wake is just too much here through that left-hander. No, he holds on tight. He's got to think about it, but he thinks twice, and he stays in second. It is now only 1.3 seconds back to Jack David Spickett.
I'm really curious to know the headspace right now between these front two. Is Topi going to poke a nose down into La Source? It's going to stay right in line. I'm curious with how much third place has caught them this past lap. Do they decide to play nice here on the Kemmel Straight, or do they continue to battle?
I mean, it kind of makes me wonder, has he even noticed is the question. Is he so focused on the car ahead? Could he just be maybe not paying attention to the fact that they're starting to lose to third? Here we go. This is a much better run, and he's going to go alongside, right-hand side each time. Partanen happy to take that left side. He knows that he can at times make that pass. Both breaking as deep as they dare, sliding the car down into Lacombe. They stay wheel to wheel all the way through all three corners. They're getting very experienced at this. Is it going to stay the same? No. I think Topi started to see what happened because Jack is now within 0.6 of a second.
It's officially a three-car battle for the lead up front here. You're right, the Pepsi machine has firmly entered the party. However, does this provide a different perspective to these front two battling? Do you have to worry about Jack David Spickett making a move, or is he just going to hang out?
I think Jack's going to try and throw his hat in the ring. I mean, you might as well at this stage because, I mean, it looked to me, we have not seen Topi move out of a battle like that in the thick of it up until this point. So I think they're aware, and they've been given the heads up. So I say, if you're Jack, let's go.
And I think the biggest part about this variable, Jack David Spickett, remember, our two front runners, they've been battling each other all race long. They haven't gone side by side with Jack David Spickett yet, so they aren't sure where JDS is even going to make a move, how he's going to race side by side. So I would consider that a big time variable that's creeping up in the mirror.
Let's see how much he can gain here because he's going to get a double toe, but of course the car in front of him, Cortinemi, is going to be pulling on Partanen as well. And back there, that is Gernot Frische in the number 2. I think he's a little too far away. Yeah, as we hop on board, the distance might be too great.
1.3 seconds. It's infuriatingly close, Joe, because it's right about that 1 second, 1.2 seconds that you finally start to smell that draft a little bit, and you've been catching Jack David Spickett right in front of you, and now you see JDS actually get that toe and kind of stretch it out from you.
Oh, he's not close enough, though. I think he lost a little time coming up the hill, and Topi doesn't fight this time. Yeah, the dynamic has entirely changed, and Topi is going to have to sit patient. 9 laps to go. Can they pull away from him, or have they done too much damage? Is Jack now there and they can't shake him?
So there's different, I kind of compare Spa to Road America when it comes to car setup. Medium downforce levels, they can be incredibly fast in terms of lap times and qualifying. However, when it comes to the race, you need the top end. They tend to fall back a little bit. Jack David Spickett, I feel, is actually running a little bit more of a medium downforce level. With these two battling out front, he can really close the gap, but I'm unsure if he's actually going to be able to draft past them.
And that will be the telling thing. If he does get that close, we'll start to see whether or not he has cranked a little bit too much wing into it or not as they head through Stavelo and back onto the back stretch. This is another spot where theoretically he should gain a little bit. He's about 0.8 back, but the gap is growing.
And that's what I'm talking about. And being the third car in line, it can be a little bit frustrating because that second car that you're chasing, well, they also have the slipstream. So you're looking down at your RPMs, your tach, right? You're saying, holy smokes, I am moving out here, but why am I not catching that car in front of me?
What a fascinating game between those three. Sam Ryman, in the meantime, has reached the back of this trio. Ahmad and Chinmay just in front of him. Sam, I think, I kind of wonder if he went off into that runoff because of what happened at the first braking zone back at Imola. I mean, remember, he got shoved off course. Maybe he figured, I'm just going to take the cut course penalty here and see what happens and hope I gain a few spots.
And jumping back to the lead here, they're going to stay stagnant 1-2. And talking about Sam, knowing Sam from here in the commentary booth with GSRC, yes, he is one of the most respectful racers out there. He will always leave you room, and he opts to go the safe route rather than poke his nose in some danger.
I don't think we had a problem for Cam Porter, maybe, or did he just lose a position? Yeah, Cam lost a position, it looks like, to the number 21. So he falls down to 17th. As we continue to watch our top three out of No Name Corner and towards Puhan. Spigot maybe catching up a bit if he's got more of that downforce. This is on board with Cam. Oh, and he's side by side again. Max is going to try and play chicken, but he loses that game as he backs out of it.
Yeah, but now Cam is going to get that toe. He's in the slipstream. I don't think he's quite close enough to make a move at the end of the Kemmel Straight here, but it's far from over. That's kind of the ebb and flow here at Spa. Look at how much he can close back up in that toe. I didn't think he was going to close that drastically.
He backs out of it pretty distinctly there coming into Lacombe. Knew there wasn't anything in it and didn't want to risk it. Cam, another one of those drivers, honestly, that he tries to just get to the finish. We've seen him get feisty at times, but like you said, a very respectful driver.
I think that Cam doesn't like getting pushed around, right? He likes being raced how he races everybody else, so he is a very respectful racer. However, if you're going to push him around, he'll push back.
That's for sure. So who's going to be pushing here? Will Parton and Kortaniemi be able to shake? It's up to about 0.8 of a second once again. Jack is making sure that they have to stay honest here. They have to behave up in front of him. He's the parent that's just watching the kids and making sure that they don't get into another fight.
And I think probably the most frustrated out of this bunch is the one we haven't really talked about, Gernot Frisha back there in the 4th place. Let's see if they stay just 1-2. Yes, they do. So they're just kind of working together again. But Gernot, he was closing that gap on Jack David Spigot, and as soon as JDS caught the whiff of the draft from these two battling, well, all of a sudden, his lap times have dropped just that little bit to start stretching it out from Gernot.
Yeah, Frisha 2.1 seconds behind, but last time, remember, it was Gernot that picked up the pieces. So keep an eye on that number 2 car. He is there, and that's one thing that he's always been very good at. Even if he isn't the fastest, he knows how to be there to try and take advantage of things. As we watch these top 2 fly through Puhan once again, down to 7 laps to go. Things, I think, have settled down, but there is definitely tension in the air.
Heading into one of the lowest areas of the racetrack. I shouldn't say one of, it is the lowest area of the racetrack. And pretty much from here on out, it is all the way uphill until you get to pretty much the pit entry complex, start finish line, whatever you want to call it, the stadium section up there.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. There where I think it actually goes into the town of Spa, where it hits La Source is what that section is. But this used to be road, actually. They raced on it, was a street circuit until the early 80s when it was partially made into a permanent road course. But right now it is all permanent road course here and has been since, I believe, the late 90s or early 2000s.
Now, Joe, I do have a bit of a bone to pick with you because I know you went to Le Mans, I know you went to Nürburgring. Spa is right next door, and I mean, this racetrack is so gosh dang cool. I want to know, why wasn't it on your list?
Because we just didn't have the time. It was honestly, because it's literally 1 hour from the Nürburgring. But trust me, initially we planned on visiting, but there wasn't going to be any racing when we could go see it, and it was one of those things where we were already packed to the brim. We figured, let's not exhaust ourselves. Right now, I think Pauli Partonen might be getting a little bit exhausted of having to deal with a mirror full of Topi Kortiniemi, knowing that the battle is coming eventually, but they have to wait until more laps are gone.
It'll be interesting because Jack David Spickett, he's hanging out right there, and I think Topi, he's anxious, right? He's anxious to try to go up there and battle with Pauli, try to get away that win. And remember, Pauli Partonen, he's won 2 races. Topi Kortiniemi, he's won 2 races already. It's been 2-2-2. Pauli, Yuka, Topi. Can Topi make it 3 in a row, or is Pauli going to grab that 3rd win?
Or, hear me out, Jack David Spickett for his first of the season.
I love it. I mean, it has been a Finnish dominance the entire season. Remember, they were running 1 through 5 in the opening lap, and you're right, this could be the change-up.
All right, so will the two tangle and allow somebody else to share the limelight here, or will it still be between our main protagonists here, coming to 5 laps to go soon? JDS, I think we can say, has lost touch. He is up to 1.4 seconds. If he truly doesn't have the straight line speed like Joey is saying, then I think he is unfortunately fallen away from the pair.
Yeah, but Gernot Frische is loving seeing that. He's saying, okay, finally, I might be able to get my foot back up on the podium if Jack David Spickett doesn't have that draft kind of pulling him along. So even though we still got 5 laps remaining here at Spa, still plenty of things to settle out.
There's Frische, which still sports the Imola Ceramics stuff on it, which is just interesting timing, since he said he didn't really know what was on the car. He picked up the paint and just went with it. But there is another approach from Kortiniemi, still not willing to throw away some of the time that they had pulled over Jack David Spickett. He doesn't go for the move this time. There is the gap as we watch from above.
Once again, I'm really curious to know what is going on inside of Topi's head right now. Is it a time gap to Jack David Spickett that you need, say, hey, I need 2.5 seconds before I feel comfortable making a move on Pauli again? Or is it that lap? I want to wait to the last lap to make a move. I'm just curious how he's going to play this one out.
Saw a bit of an attack of Sam Ryman on Christo Chinma. Didn't get the pass done, but he is still within the tow here. Let's see what the expat British driver will do as he comes up into the braking of Lacombe. Just not close enough.
It's been a good battle for Sam, though. And remember, he is in that 2nd place in that F2 points championship, I believe. So this is going to be good top split points. And as long as he's chugging along here, maybe he might be able to get a little bit more with 14th.
Sounds like we're hearing a bit of info from Jukka Tolvanen with him being out of this race. He's had a chat with, actually, is he out of this race? Yes, he is. I was going to say, because he's chatting in our YouTube chat here, but says that he and Kimmo have talked about it and both apologize for the major incident that happened at the start of this race, because it affected a lot of the drivers. Kortiniemi just about affected the gearbox and Partonen there.
Well, let's see if Pauli can run away. He's already up to 6/10. I just don't think it's a big enough mistake to break that draft. So Topi will be able to kind of close it back in here on the Kemmel Straight. Let's get a replay exactly heading into La Source. Look at how close that was between the two.
And the danger with sim racing on that one, Joey, is that sometimes you can have the internet just not read it right for you, and you can get contact if you're that close. So they got super lucky in that situation.
Yes, very, very lucky. And I mean, even just that little kind of hesitation, it's already drawn Jack David Spickett to 1.5 seconds back with 3.5 laps left or so. But it'll be interesting if they continue to battle or continue to make mistakes. Pepsi, he's going to be there.
Shady and Mod watching on Miguel Moreland. It's kind of gone from a 4-car battle down to a pair of 2s that we've got here. Shady's also going to get the tow on Miguel. Once again, Shady still hasn't gotten back to where he started this race. So can he at least make it one closer this time by? He gets a nice pull up along the Kemmel Straight, past the fans. And will he go for it? Yes, he's going to stick his nose in, try to outbrake his rival, and he does so. A textbook move from the 22.
And you were also able to see Sam Ryman trying to make that move on Christo Shinmai on that same Kemmel straight, but they stayed in those same 14th, 15th as we watched Miguel Moreland go up that spot.
Shinmai actually shares the hardest charger right now with William Doyle. Both of them up 11, which is very interesting. And Doyle, I believe, did qualify. Yes, he did. He did set a qualifying time. Shinmai did not. So a lot more impressive, I'd say, for the 20, especially considering he's farther up. As we come back to Courtaniemi once again, and we're down to 3 laps to go now this time. Still close to one another. They have absolutely dropped Spicket. It's up to 2.3 seconds. Don't think that's quite enough, but let's see what Topi does this time.
He's incredibly close. Yeah, he's already going to make a move on Pauli on the left side. Now, this is going to put him on the opposite side heading into this complex. This is a different positioning here, Joe.
Yeah, put them where they're not comfortable, maybe. Will this help them get the pass done? They were doing quite well going side by side on the opposite ends, but this time it looks like Topi backs out, goes for the over-under, but it looks like he's balked at the apex. In fact, he's blocked down into Rivage as Pauli covers off the inside into the braking. And just like that, their one bit of fun has spoiled the gap. It's already back down to 1.2.
It's that downforce, that confidence level through the twisty stuff where the leaders are battling side by side. Well, guess what? Jack David Spicket, he is just hauling the mail, using the grip that he's got. So, yeah, don't count him out too soon.
Can't seem to get away. Can't seem to get enough gap here to try and allow themselves some breathing space. If they do that again, then David Spicket is going to be, once again, in the mix and a threat for the victory. Oof, this is, I couldn't tell you who is going to win this one. Usually I have an inkling, Joey, but this one I think is still a complete toss-up.
It is. If Jukka Tolinen is out there listening, maybe he can provide in chat, maybe where he thinks that Pauli is a little bit stronger, or where maybe he can kind of have the best defense, or maybe Jukka, who do you think should be leading starting that final lap out there?
And where should they make the move, too? You have to wonder, because there's multiple opportunities with long straights to try and attack. So where do you get it done? Out through La Source once again into the braking zone and down the hill. Big drop here, you can see, as they go past the stands and the trees across the line to get the 2 to go signal. Spicket falls back a couple tenths once more. Will Topi do it again? Does he feel like now is go time? No, he lifts.
Yeah, but it's still close enough that he can still tuck back in the draft, make another move if he wants to, but he's not going to this time, at least not from what I see. Plenty content to follow Pauli Partanen through this section, maybe save it up for a little bit later in the lap, or maybe even on the final lap.
Haven't talked about James Berry much. He's going to try and make a move on Paul Williams this lap, and I think he might have it, but it's going to be a game of chicken down into the braking zone. Oh, Berry just drifted off into the grass. That was bizarre.
Well, as we watch our lead battle continue here, now this is jumping back. This was James Berry. He's currently chasing Paul Williams. This was that battle you were just commenting on, Joe.
Yeah, for some reason, on the Kemmel Straight, he got 2 tires into the grass. It slowed him down. He didn't wreck, but I'm not sure if he just maybe lost track of where he was or what, but looks like we do have Jukka Tolinen ready to chat with us about this battle for the lead, which is still tight. Let's pull him in and see if he can get some thoughts. Jukka, glad to have you in. Your teammate is out there leading. Does he want to be in front, or does he want to be in second on this last lap?
Interesting question, but I think Pauli wants to lead. He has been very good at defending Topi all the race, so I think he wants to lead. So then he will just brake later and fight.
Did he and Topi know that Jack was starting to catch in the middle of the race when they started battling, or did that take a while for them to realize as he takes a look down the inside? All right, we're good. Jukka, how soon did they know that Jack was a problem?
Yeah, well, I was basically acting as a crew chief after I parked my car, so yeah, they knew, or Pauli knew that
Oh, here
Zach
we go.
was catching. Oh no.
Here we go, side by side. Topi got the run. He's all alongside him, but it's down to the braking as they both send it as deep as they can. Wheel to wheel, through Lacombe, back to Malmedy. Advantage maybe for Topi. Outside line has worked for Pauli before as he looks for the brakes down into Ravage. Still, it is nose to nose with neither seeming to gain an advantage. Will they stay clean? They bang wheels once again, Joey.
Pauli Partanen takes over the lead. I should say defends the lead from Topi Korteniemi, exactly how Jukka Tolinen was saying. However, it is not over. We still got to go through this incredibly fast corner. Puhan through a couple kind of switchbacks here that are medium speed. They go by Dylan Freckleton, so he's not going to be a factor. However, from the bottom point of the circuit up to Blanchimont into the final chicane, that's going to be Topi Korteniemi's move to make.
Jack David Spigot down to 7/10 as well. If they come together, he could still take the win, especially with two heavy braking zones yet to come here. Topi about 0.3 of a second behind. Is this too far back as they head towards Blanchimont? He's going to feel that dirty air a little bit, and he could try and outbrake him into the bus stop. It doesn't look like it, Joey. I think he's a little too far behind.
It's going to have to come from way far back. If Topi's going to make a move here, he's going to stay right in line. It's going to come to the power down coming out of this final chicane here. Can Pauli put it down? Yes, he does. One more corner to go.
It'll still have to be quite a send. He's about a couple car lengths back, looking for the braking. Down to the La Source. He shows his nose, but he can't get the overlap. Pauli chops him off, gets the throttle down more successfully than Topi, and Pauli is going to take his third win of the season here at Spa.
What a show from these two drivers. Holy smokes, as I like to say. Pauli Partanen claiming that third win.
Whoa! Paul Williams and James Barry dipping and diving down into La Source, and Williams comes out ahead. Oh no! He brakes! He's gotten into the back by James Barry, who is going to be able to continue on. And Paul Williams is going to at least be able to drive it to the finish. Hopefully, he can get to the line and he does not lose the position. Sam Ryman now in a battle as well.
Yeah, Sam coming up to this final chicane here. He's been locked in this battle with Christo Shinmai. Let's see what he can do. Christo is able to put the power down nicely. However, can Sam sneak down the inside? Full defensive from Shinmai.
It's not over yet as they come up to the braking. Sam's on the inside. He's got to be good on the throttle. Look at that. Chops across Sam. And it looks like Chinmai is going to be able to take it here in the number 24. Exciting stuff up and down the field. We'll come back with the driver interviews as well as the official results, so don't go away.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This definitely was a classic. Even for Spa, this was a good one. And Pauli Partanen takes the win over Topi Kortaniemi, only 0.3 of a second at the line. And even Jack David Spickett was a mere 1.2 seconds from the lead at the end of it. It was close. Gernot Friesche was fourth today, just off the podium, with Timothy Reed finishing in fifth, and James Barry sixth. We did find out why he slowed, and there was contact between himself and Paul Williams. Poor James forgot that the finish line was down the hill instead of after the bus stop. Williams took seventh as Bracali was eighth, and Barry West finished ninth. William Doyle rounds out your top 10.
Pablo Suarez was locked in a battle. It seemed all race long is going to finish 11th, up 5 spots. Shady Ahmad finishing 12th. Miguel Moreland also kind of a busy bee out there in battles, finishing 13th. Christo Shinmai just ahead of Sam Ryman. So Christo 14th, Sam Ryman going to finish 15th. Maximiliano Laceras in 16th. Cam Porter, your last car on the lead lap, in 17th. Dylan Freckleton, your first car, 1 lap down, and actually the last car to take the checkered flag down there in 18th. Unfortunately, we saw all those spins from Chase Schaefer, and then the problems early on from Jukka Tolinen and company. Juho Raina also getting a piece of that.
That is going to take us to our winner, Pauli Partanen, here racking up number 3 of the season. Pauli, that was a stunner of the race, and sounds like Jukka was helping keep you aware of the situation with Jack catching up to the two of you. But I mean, were you concerned that maybe he was going to get involved and it would complicate things even more? Oh, they might need to unmute Pauli here. Looks like we'll get him mic'd up here in a second.
All right.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Now we gotcha.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that I was actually hoping that Spicket will catch us and I could feed Topi to Spicket, but sadly that didn't happen. But yeah, amazing race. Very, very, very nice. I'm usually sweating during the races, but now I'm sweating even more.
So that is completely opposite what we thought. We figured you guys wouldn't want him to get in there. So talk to us about the side-by-side. It was very interesting watching how many times you guys went wheel to wheel at the top of the hill through the chicane, because at one point someone would have a better launch off the corner and then the other person would.
Yeah, well, I need to thank Jukka for this, because we practice quite much those corners, because we knew from the past that you cannot really lose the draft here. The other guy will always be on the backside of you if he has the good pace, and so we practice that a lot. So I'm actually 100% sure that Jukka was the key factor for my win today, because without Jukka I would not know how to drive those corners with the offsetting lines, and now I knew exactly how to place my car if I wanted to keep Topi behind.
And you guys obviously had a little bit of a skirmish back at Imola. I know that this community is usually pretty well-natured with one another. Has this redeemed Topi for you?
Yeah, I was really pissed last week, but yeah, Topi was a great driver today and drove cleanly, and was super good driving from him. So no hard feelings. Of course, I was after the broadcast bit sad on the last time, but that happens in the heat of the race, so nothing worry about that. And Topi was very, very great today, very clean, and gave me a great challenge today. So I'm happy.
Well, fantastic stuff, Pauli. Congratulations on win number 3.
Yeah, I want to thank Andy T. I know this is not usually the person I thank, but Andy helped me a bit this week with the setup. So big thanks to Andy. Thanks.
There you go. And Andy T getting a bit of a shout out. I haven't seen him in a moment, as it looks like Joey has caught up with Topi Kortaniemi, the man who was only 0.3 behind at the line.
Frustratingly close to 3 in a row, but how do you feel with second place?
I feel like the race was good. We had a good battle with Pauli, and it was the best battle in the 79 for a long time for me. So I think I'm also the winner in some sense, but not the race winner. Of course, that's Pauli. He deserved it today.
We noticed that you and Pauli were able to go side by side through several laps, several corners, just one after another. Were you maybe just leaving a little bit more room after what happened last week?
I don't know. I just had that feeling with the setup that it was getting quite understeery and driving in the draft. I think I cooked my fronts a little bit, so I've just been a little bit careful because I knew it will be decided in the last lap anyway, so why take a risk in the middle of the race?
Looking ahead, so you had 2 wins coming into here. A second place, not so bad at all. Interlagos is next. What is your confidence level, and how do you fit that racetrack?
Can I ask a question? Because I don't know what happened last lap at Rivets of Bruxelles. In my screen, Pauli flew like 2 meters into the air. I thought we had contact because I understeered a little bit in the inside. But how did it look in the broadcast?
Everything seemed okay from our side of view. I know that there were some funky things going on to some YouTube, so apologies to anybody out there that didn't get to view the whole race, but hopefully it should be all fixed up. But it looked okay from our point of view, Topi.
Okay, because it looked like I hit Pauli, but apparently that was the case. Anyway, Interlagos, I don't know, it's a decent track. It's not trash tier, it's not top tier, it's good.
Well, that's pretty much as simple as it gets. Before I let you go, anybody you want to say hi to, give a shout out to?
John Olson, long-time 49er, attempting Quad Crown this weekend, attempting all the broadcast races, 49, 79, Camel, and TT Challenge later this evening, so good luck to him.
Well, second place for Topi Cortiniani. He will be second place in that points championship after today as well.
This is certainly going to be a fun championship to watch. Cam Porter, in the meantime, managed to finish 17th, up 3 spots, but not without a few troubles along the way. You had a little bit of running, I think, with Tolanen. It was at one point. Have you had a chance to chat with him about that?
Yuka apologized to me via private text after that incident, so all's forgiven. Yuka, I know you're a great driver. Just be a little more conscientious when you catch up to the slowest car, well, one of the slowest cars in the split. But I was having a good time with a couple of guys that were around my speed for the first few laps, and then, of course, Yuka was recovering from his spin and just locked up when he was behind me and just spun me off. Unfortunate luck again for me today, but looking forward to some more good racing in this series.
Well, I mean, speaking of slow, at first I went back and looked at your first lap because it was 20 seconds slower than normal. I thought, oh no, did he get caught up in the incidents? It looks like he just had to do a lot of tiptoeing.
I don't know what happened there. I did what I thought was a good lap for me on the first lap, and then the second lap, I did a little better. It was a personal best for me, and throughout the race I picked up a little bit of speed and just kept doing better laps over the race. So I was feeling okay about my own performance. It's just the top split in this series is super competitive, and I'm not super good in the high downforce cars either. So, I'm about where I expected to be on the track today. So, successful race, I don't know. Could have been better, but could have been worse.
I can't complain too much about that, I suppose. So how do you feel about Interlagos then? Because that's another place with some long straightaways, but some very technical portions.
Yeah, I enjoy Interlagos. I always have a good time there, usually. There's some challenging sections, of course, but good passing opportunities too, I think. So looking forward to Interlagos.
All right. Well, we'll hope to see you there on the top split again, and congratulations on an exciting race.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
That was Cam Porter finishing 17th today. And we're going to wrap it up with a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community, as well as a thank you to the team today, Joey, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Next race, Interlagos, as we said, will be Sunday, November 4th. at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Don't forget we're changing clocks over here at the States, but if you're going by the GMT time, of course, we'll stay at 4:30. Up next, though, we do have the MX5 World Sim Series at Summit Point. That'll be at 5:40 p.m. Eastern later today. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
Bye.